Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. I wish there was enough time to make an intro today, but it has been a very busy week for me, and unfortunately, also a busy week for both friends of mine and Filk who have passed on and are not going to be with us anymore. Just it's been a rough week, but always happy to come in, talk some hockey. And glad to be back with Mr. Anthony LaRocco right now, but I forgot to even do the introductions. That's how big crazy this week has been. Hello, I am Mark Williams. Delighted to be back with you guys right now, and I'm joined by the man from the Hockey News, or formerly of the Hockey News, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, listen, Mark, we're getting down to a really exciting time of the year. You know, most teams have anywhere from, I think, there's as little as 13 games left, which I think is like the Maple Leafs, and then I think some teams have as much as 17, or maybe one or two that even has 18. But, you know, point is, we're in that stretch run, Mark. You know, the playoff races are tight. Every point is extremely valuable in the East and West. You know, and this is where players show your worth. This is where your money's made, and I think we're going to get some exciting hockey and some good races down the stretch. I mean, hell, I think we all wrote off the Predators and Winnipeg Jets, oddly enough, played each other last night in a huge game, which Nashville got the extra point. But those two teams, like I said, we wrote off, Mark, and Nashville's, I think, 2 points out of a playoff spot, and Winnipeg is 4, which is crazy. At one point, they were 10 points out.
Yeah.
And hello to some of my favorite viewers in Evan and Matt. Welcome, Shaq and Kobe. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great stretch run here, and hopefully we get some entertaining hockey as we lead up to the playoffs.
Yeah, Anthony, and y'all have been asked the question. It comes around every single year. What's the best month for sports? And usually it comes down to March, because you got the NCAA tournament that's coming up. And by the way, I got people asking me about stuff like that at the bar. But like tomorrow is going to be a great day. But then you have NBA, NHL making their stretch runs, and baseball's winding down. And now you have the World Baseball Classic that was in there. And what a game that was last night, and what games we've been seeing. You got the NFL draft that's starting up. There's a lot of things. So I think now March has definitely kind of sealed it. What?
NFL draft is April, though, not March.
Well, yeah, but it's the NFL offseason is really in full swing.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's building towards the NFL draft. Used to be in March.
Yeah,
everything used to be in March, but they're trying to figure out everything to.
Ironically enough, I'm not really a huge fan of the month of March in general. I mean, the weather still kind of sucks. You know, it's not much going on. I mean, St. Patrick's Day, but, you know, it's just one day. So for me, March is kind of but I see your point with the sports calendar. But nonetheless, though, we're getting up to the best time of year, which is the NHL playoffs. So that's a good thing.
Yes, and it's going to be a great run. And we're going to talk about the teams that are loading up for it, as well as the biggest headlines around. Stick around in our NHL Bar Talk. We got a loaded A block for you guys today. So let's get to that A block, where it is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. Make sure you click the link down below. And as I mentioned, the A block is brought to you by SeatGeek. Take a look right there. But Anthony, let's start with those New York Islanders. Since the Braden Shen trade, they're 4-1. But Shen scores his first goal against the Maple Leafs in their St. Patrick's Day jerseys last night. You look at the Metro Division standings, they're neck and neck with Pittsburgh. Columbus is breathing right down their neck with a game in hand. So the Islanders loaded up with Cole Yzerman on an ELC, and he'll report to Bridgeport.
Hold on, that's not.
I'm sorry.
That's not officially announced yet, but it seems like he will be signing soon. Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. I thought it was actually announced yesterday.
No, Aitchison's the one that's official. That was official announced yesterday.
And that was a little bit confusing, Anthony, because let's just clarify that one, because that starts in the new
league year, which is next year
on July 1st.
Yeah.
So if Islander fans are expecting Aitchison to come up this season, it's not happening.
No.
And he would have been a great addition, I think. But then again, we talked about this with Yzerman last week. Is it really the best place for him and during a playoff stretch run? Because not as many guys can really handle that as well. Obviously, you've seen Chris Kreider, Cole Caulfield do that, but that's not the optimal place, especially if you get a guy who's got a quick hook the way that Patrick Waugh has. But Anthony, the Islanders, the next 3 games, they're playing Ottawa Senators, who are trying to compete for a playoff spot. They're still kind of on the fringe. They're almost done. Montreal Canadiens, who are solidly in a playoff spot, if you could say solidly in that division. And, of course, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are chasing them. So, Anthony, the Islanders are loading up for a playoff run. Let me hear your thoughts on everything that's transpired with them the last 2 weeks.
Well, obviously we know what transpired at the trade deadline. They traded for Braden Shen, which was a little shocking. But, he's been good so far. He's got 3 points in his 5 games, and it's not just the point total. Mark, you made reference to it last week, and I think maybe it went under the radar a little bit just because, 3 of us, there's always so much talking and comments going on. But he skated over to the Sharks bench, and he said, anyone goes after Matthew Schaefer, and there's going to be big consequences. He did that right off the bat. That's just the type of player he is. He's a winner. He's a veteran. He's been there in the crunch time. He knows what it takes to get over the hump, what it takes to win. Sure. Like we talked about last week, when I because I wasn't on the show when the deal happened, so now I was kind of recapping it. Not the same player he was. I'm not going to try to fool anybody on that. He's not. However, he's still a solid player that brings those intangibles to the lineup. And that's something they were missing, Mark. They only had Andre Palat on the roster that's been there. And, yes, guys like Adam Pelech, Ryan Pollock, Pajot, Cizikas, Lee, the core members of the Islanders that went on those conference final runs, they've been to the conference finals, but there was no one that got past that round and been to the Stanley Cup finals and won a Stanley Cup. And I'm just going to kind of, rewind and just to make this point here, that second year they lost to the Lightning in the conference final, the game 7 game, which was the 1-0 game where, oddly enough, that's the only time of year they let up a shorthanded goal. You're telling me back then, if you would have had a guy with Stanley Cup experience on that bench in that moment to kind of not to be unflappable and be like, we can do this, we can get over the hump, we can get one more goal. None of those guys had that experience. So now, this year, and this is a big if, but if they made it to the conference finals and the game is really tough, now you have 2 guys in Palat and Shen that have been there that can tell the guys, you know what, we can do this, buckle down. It is, I know it's tight, it's uncomfortable, but this is what we have to do to get over the hump. And I think those are the type of intangibles that a guy like Braden Shen brings to the lineup. And then the effect that he's having on another young player in Cal Ritchie, spoiler alert, which we'll talk about in Bar Talk topic. But
yes,
no, I think his addition was big. And listen, you made reference to it a little bit in the opening there. The standings are tough right now. Everybody's winning. Oddly enough, in the post game, that was brought up to Patrick Waugh. It's like, is it frustrating to see Columbus and Pittsburgh, you're looking at the scoreboard and you're seeing them winning, and he turned it around on the report. He's like, you can say the same thing about them because we're winning too, which is true. So it's not going to be for the faint of heart. If you get stressed over these kind of things, hate to break down an Islander fan, but it's probably going to be like this down to the last couple of days of the season, unless, one of these teams really go on a nosedive, which at this point, I really don't see that occurring. So, it's going to be a tight race. As for the rest of the loading up, yes, I know they signed Aitchison, but he's not going to be there this year. The Yzerman deal should be finalized from what I'm hearing sometime today. But again, I would be surprised if that ELC goes into effect for this year. I think he'll be going to Bridgeport. So I don't know how much more loading up they can do in terms of bringing guys in, but I do think that Darce feels confident in the team that he's put together so far. And, that's the team that, as I said last week, they're going to go to war with. And again, they're being led by, let's face it, the front runner for the Vezina Trophy in Ilya Sorokin. He's now listed as in second in save percentage on NHL.com. He's tied with Vasilevsky, but he's listed ahead of him for no reason at 914. So,
yeah,
he's just he's their backbone. He was great last night in Toronto, and I think he's the trump card that the Islanders have over a lot of these other teams like Columbus, Pittsburgh. Really any other team in terms of goaltending. I think he's one of the best. So that certainly helps. So yeah, it's going to be interesting finish. It's going to be, honestly, I think it's a toss up between who gets second in the Metro. It really is, honestly. Crosby's coming back to Pittsburgh tonight, so that's going to be
that's correct.
Boost.
Yep,
that's going to be a big boost for them. They played really well without him. So I think it's really any team's home ice to lose, really.
Yeah, and everybody forgive me on my voice because I've already dealt with St. Patrick's Day in general and the St. Patrick's Day parade. So I'm trying to have as much voice as I can. But you guys heard the way my voice was at the gold medal game after that. So I know you'll bear with me. Looking at the Islanders right now, again, I still kind of I jokingly kind of say it, but also I always bring this up, Anthony. I'm like, what is exactly to pinpoint what they do best? And a lot of Islander fans just smile, look at me and go, they win. And yeah, they're pesky. And that's one thing about them. Ilya Sorokin has been phenomenal this year. I know that there's other guys that are challenging for the Vezina. He's still my Vezina pick. Even with some of the stats kind of dropping a little bit, like compared to January, but the Islanders are still high in goals against and low in goals for, and it's really a testament to how well he's played. They are tough to play against, and they get tougher every single day when you get a guy like Braden Shen in there. Tremendous upgrade over Jonathan Drouin. Let's not even pretend like it's anything close. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Anthony, they're bonding as a team, and every single day they get a little bit better and better. I got a bit that I'm going to be putting on Instagram hopefully this week about Schaefer energy drink, and that you wish you could have the energy of Matthew Schaefer, but he's not showing any signs of slowing down. That's a good thing about him not playing at all at the Olympics or even going to the Olympics. And although there was a great bit, I don't know if you saw it on Instagram, about him not knowing what Nintendo 64 was.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, what? But then you got to remember, he was born 10 years after that came out. And again, Bo Horvat, no signs of him slowing down either. He's still scoring at a good clip. But you look at the Islanders right now since the Shen trade, there's a lot of production that is going around. But you kind of want to see the bottom six get a little bit more play in there. Holmstrom, obviously, he had the game winner against St. Louis, but they're getting good production out of Barzal, Cal Ritchie, Bo Horvat. It's just they kind of need to start scoring a little bit more, especially with how well the Penguins are playing. And you got to give all the credit to Rick Bowness in Columbus. Is it possible that maybe a guy could be a finalist for the Jack Adams after being an interim coach? I mean, this guy is it, and he does this all with a smile. That's the thing about him. And he's basically coached on every single franchise, even maybe some debunked ones now that are now gone. Sorry, defunct, not debunked. But I like where they're going, the Islanders. It's just I gotta see how this next week shapes up, because I fully expect them to beat Ottawa.
Well, Ottawa's hot though, so yeah,
Ottawa's hot, 7-1. But See, the thing about the Islanders is, and they've done this season, when you're looking at them going, I think they're going to lose that game. They not only win, they crush them. And then when you're like, oh, that's an easy game. The Islanders got this one. Then they lose that one. You're like, wait a minute.
And you know what? This time of year, though, no game is easy because even if you're playing the Vancouver Canucks, like you saw the Predator. Let's face it, the Predators season basically is on the line every night now. And the other night, the Canucks beat them. Like, how do you let a team like that beat you when you're in such a tight playoff race? So the point is, teams like to play spoiler right now. You know, they're playing for jobs next year. The guys on those kind of teams, and they play for pride. So honestly, no game is easy. No game is easy, and you have to come to play every single night. And that just doesn't go for the Islanders. It goes for the Blue Jackets, goes for the Penguins, goes for the Hurricanes. It goes for everybody. So yeah, I mean, it really comes down to which team wants it more, and you bring your best game every night, and that's what you have to do when you're these teams right now. They're playing for such important points.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Anthony, because you always got to bring your best game, because as soon as you don't, that's when you lose. You think back a few years ago when the Islanders made the playoffs, and I think they had to beat Montreal the last game of the season, and it was all set up because Pittsburgh went into bottom feeding Chicago and lost.
Yeah,
and I remember watching that game and going, "Oh my goodness, they're actually gonna make the playoffs now." And then the Islanders put a little scare into Carolina going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things that you could see every team trying to give it its all, and we're going to get to a player that's trying to make a statement right now, and another one that's made a bounce back. But that's where you're right, because you got guys that are trying to say, look, I'm going to be in this franchise for a long time. I'm going to be a player that's going to be here for years. And going back to Braden Shen and that comment saying, if you go after Schaefer, we're going after you, because that's going to be coming back around in the next few minutes in our conversations. Because let's move on to the guy that was named the first star of the week, a guy that's trying to make a statement, Alexei Lafreniere. Anthony, Statboy Steven had a great post about New York Rangers named #1 star of the week. Somehow, or since 2010, somehow Henrik Lundqvist wasn't on there multiple times. I have no idea how. But he did mention Alexei Lafreniere, Adam Fox, Chris Kreider. They were all in there. And his resurgence, he got another goal in Winnipeg last week, and the Rangers' 4-game winning streak ended, and everybody was going, oh no, they're going to win their way out of the lottery. No, they're still in the lottery. We're going to talk more about where the Rangers stand in the lottery in our bar talk. But you look at the bottom standings, they're tied with St. Louis as a bottom 5 team. And Mika Zibanejad, you look at the numbers he's putting up, 27 goals, 36 assists, 63 points. And a lot of people want to give him a ton of credit. I will have a little bit of pause with that. But what are your thoughts on this Mika Zibanejad bounce back season?
I mean, he's at 63 points. I mean, for a guy who gets paid as much as he does, I mean, let's face it, you're still not satisfied with that. You want him to be, over 80 points, which he did obviously in the past. So I'm not going to sit here and bang the drum and be all super excited that he's, he may finish with 70 points or so or whatever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
So yeah, it's good to see him bounce back in a year that's been obviously very frustrating for him and all the guys in that room. But he's the kind of guy that the Rangers needed earlier in the year or last year to really step up, and he didn't. I mean, now it's kind of like at this point it's a little too late. Like kind of like what for? I still think, and I'll die in this hill, Mark. We've talked about this for a couple of years now. You got to get him to move his no movement clause. The Rangers certainly need to embrace this retool now with Panarin gone. Maybe Trocheck in the summer. They need to convince. They need to convince him to waive his. And this is exactly what Matt's saying right here. They need they need to convince him to waive his no movement clause. And you go about it. And I don't know how you go about it, whether you're direct or you play indirect, play games. They got to get him to move because it's what's best for the Rangers organization going forward. And I mentioned this prior to the trade deadline when I was listening to NHL radio. Mike Johnson was talking about Robert Thomas and and the rumors of his name being in the rumors and what that does to a player. And how you get around a hurdle of a no movement clause. And I think they need to do to Zibanejad what he said in that instance. He's like, listen, it's human nature. If you sit someone down and basically say, we don't want you anymore, like simple as that, we're going in a different direction. We don't want you anymore. Chances are the players are going to be like, okay, well, why should I stay where I'm not wanted? And I think Chris Drury needs to be, listen, he was apparently that direct with Panarin, right? In the meeting right after the letter, he said, Friedman said he sat him down and said, we're not going to be offering you a contract and I'll help you find a home via trade. Do that with Zibanejad this summer and convince him to waive. So yes, Zibanejad's playing well. He is having a bounce back year. I'm sure that's great for his confidence going forward and for him. But for right now, for the Rangers, it means nothing. And honestly, the more they win, the more they can hurt their draft, status, which I know we're going to talk about later. But
I can't wait to talk about that later.
Good on Zibanejad for bouncing back, but it doesn't change anything. He still needs to go, and him doing this right now doesn't really have much effect on the Rangers, positively or negatively.
Yeah, a lot of people want to give him so much credit and kind of being like, Mika's back, baby. No, he's not back. Let me give you this stat line from Mika Zibanejad in 2019, 2020. That's the COVID shortened season. 41 goals, 34 assists, 75 points. He was a +9. We are and that's in 57 games. We're a far cry from that guy. Yeah, he's about a point per game type of guy, and 22, 23 and 91 points in 82 games. And probably his best season, if you want to argue that, not really argue it statistically, but as far as wins goes, was probably the years that they went to the President's Trophy, and he only had 72 points. Look, he's a guy that thrives on the power play. He's done better with even strength this year. He only has, sorry to do this to everybody while I was doing math, but he only has about 28 power play points, which is really good, but still, it's a little bit more of a percentage than what it was last year. So he is a bit of a power play merchant. But also, let's not forget this, Anthony. That -19 is big. Like, everybody wants to just go, plus minus, it doesn't really mean anything. Well, JT Miller's a -26. I want to add that in there. And he's on pace for, far under half a point a season per game this season. But don't worry, it's all an injury, guys. JT Miller is the greatest player ever. But here's the thing. I don't think he's going to waive. And I think there's sort of this new dawn for Zibanejad that now he's kind of seeing a new role. And you're kind of seeing this recently. Is it going to be something for the long term? I don't know. But Anthony, it's not going to matter. He's here for the long term. He doesn't want to leave. He's never going to waive that no trade clause. This is where his kids go to school. I mean, he likes New York. It's just never going to happen. So everybody settle in. You're going to be looking at him till 2030.
Well, and think about just to point at this. What about a guy like Braden Shen? He had no trade protection. He agreed. A guy who has kids, young kids, been in a place forever. He waived.
Yeah. So, again, Anthony, I get what you're saying, and I understand, but I don't think Zibanejad's ever going to waive. He has to be completely miserable. And the thing is, now he's got this line of him, Perreault, and Lafreniere. If that continues to play well, then he's really going to be cemented here. Zibanejad's the guy that I kind of look at and go, I think I could stay. I could stay with him for the next few years clearly I have major disdain for JT Miller. I had it from the moment they said his name in trade rumors. I think the first time I heard the trade rumor, you brought it up. I threw my pen across the room as we were doing this. Like, it's just what are we doing? Why are we doing this? You can't keep making bad decisions. And the New York Rangers made a bad decision. Sorry to the JT Miller heads out there. Oh, you know, JT Miller, his competitive fire. Screw his competitive fire. He throws the puck up the middle of the ice. If you didn't watch the video that I put up this week about 8 years from the letter and problems that they have, and he's not a leader. Sorry to break that news to everybody too. So this is also something, it's funny because Anthony, I'm playing right now in my spare time whenever I have it. The Spider-Man PS4 game that came out, and it all had the different converging gangs that happened with the power vacuum of Kingpin being arrested. Well, sort of when the Rangers had no captain, that was sort of the power vacuum that's there. And the person that ended up rising from the ashes were Jacob Trouba. And then you also had JT Miller now. These are not captains. They are not captains. The Rangers need to find actual captains. And who knows? This could have been something that could have been settled if Mika would have stepped up and said, I'll be the captain. But he never it's just like the leadership of that room. It was always pretty weak.
1 second.
Yes. So am I happy with what Zibanejad's doing right now? Yes. Sorry. Are you happy with what you're seeing? Yes. And is he playing well? Yes. Let's not start thinking this is the same guy from the beginning of the decade. He's not going anywhere. It's not going to be the case whatsoever. He's not going to waive his no move clause. And you see guys like, it's nice to see guys like Trocheck that stay and want to be part of the solution. But the thing is, the Rangers, as Anthony said before, Chris Drury needs to have a conversation. Chris Drury doesn't need to have a conversation. Chris Drury shouldn't have conversations with anybody because Chris Drury should be gone. They should fire him so he could go be a street performer. I mean, I don't even know if they still have them on the streets in New York City anymore, but it's just, let him sit back and will make bad trades for food. He could have that sign up there because the Rangers are in a hole and they're not going to be getting out of it anytime soon. So while I wait for Anthony to come back, I get some of your comments, guys, the naked cowboy. Yeah. And again, James is saying it right here. Whole team looked better without JT. Yes. And look, but no, Killjoy, this is who he is. This is who he is. When he was with the Rangers back in his first part of his career, I understand he blossomed to a 100-point scorer after he was traded twice. And then him and Pettersson had issues that leaked to the press, and then he decided to handle it in the press. The funny part is, even with him saying we're going to handle it behind closed doors, they still handled it in front of everyone. Yeah, and I wouldn't trust him to order pizza. Yeah. I mean, it's just that you can't. Yeah, by the way, Matt's talking about it right here. It's easier for him and his wife to travel from New York City to Sweden. But like, those are some of those factors that you always talk about whenever you talk about players. They're not just players, they are people. And you get guys that they're going to go, I could build a life here. It's not just about where I am as a teammate. And there was somebody that was telling me about a player who was distant from the team a little bit. I won't mention names or anything because I want to make sure I can confirm it. But that it wasn't as tight-knit as a unit, especially last year, that everybody thought it was. But nonetheless, yeah, James is saying it right here. The only letter Chris Drury should send out is his resignation. All right. But they've had a culture problem for a long time. They really have. So, but we'll get into that in a moment. Good thing that Chris Drury, JT Miller, and Mike Sullivan are here to change the culture. We'll get into that again in a second. But let's move on to a big story that happened. We haven't been able to cover it. Anthony, Radko Gudas receives a 5-game suspension for his knee hit on Auston Matthews. Matthews is now done for the season. No Maple Leaf stepped up to fight Radko Gudas as Matthews laid on the ice. We'll get into that in 1 second. But the most tone-deaf thing said was George Parros. And I gave you a highlight of the quote, but let me read you the full quote. We've been doing this a long time. We sweat over these decisions and pour over these decisions every night, all season long. We have a process in place that's consistent, and we have a team that works for me. And together with me, that evaluates all these plays. It's a very experienced team, veteran team, guys that have been there since the beginning and of the department. Not to mention all the former players that have a large set of experiences in playing NHL games and accolades. Anthony, let me get some of your thoughts on all of this. Auston Matthews, nobody stepping up, and possibly his future. Radko Gudas, a 5-game suspension, a slap on the wrist, and just George Parros. Are you fucking kidding me?
I guess I'll start with the suspension and Gudas. After I was on my way home from the doctor with my daughter this morning, and I was driving and to listen to NHL Morning Skate and Sirius XM, and every Wednesday they have Elliot Friedman come on and they asked him about this, and he basically said that it's tough in that the sense that he referenced the longest suspension for a kneeing that was greater than the 5 games Gudas got was Matt Cook in the playoffs. So he basically said like giving Gudas 5 games is like the highest it's come in terms of suspensions to that Cook hit in terms of specific to kneeing. So he kind of defended, or the not defended, but shed light, I guess, on the reasoning of why it was 5 games. But did say acknowledge that it's obviously a hot topic, and there's a lot to discuss probably in the summertime on player safety and a lot of these rulings. But for me personally, I just based on Gudas and the player he is and the reputation, I would have given him a little more than 5. I don't think I would have quite gone to 10, but I think a nice 7 games to match that Cook, or maybe even 8, I think would suffice. And listen, it shouldn't matter on the caliber of player the hit was on, but let's face it, it kind of does a little bit in some fans' eyes.
Yes, it does.
Auston Matthews. With that said, though, I mean, it should be consistent across the board, no matter if it's an Auston Matthews or Kyle McLean. So I didn't like the hit. I thought it was predatory in nature. So yeah, I think it should have been a little bit higher. As for the reaction for the Leafs players, to me, I think that's more concerning than the ruling itself. I mean, you have your best player on the ice who's now out for a while because his knee was taken out, and no one did anything. And then on top of that, he's your captain. Like, I mean, it happened a while ago, not a while ago, but just in terms of remembering exact quotes, I don't remember off the top of my head. But Berube even acknowledged that he was upset with the lack of reaction from the Leafs players and made a comment on it. And he's absolutely right. How do you not go after Gudas and try to end the guy? Like, I know some of the guys on the ice aren't exactly bruisers, and Gudas would probably hand them their ass, but did that stop when Matthew Schaefer took a hit earlier this year from I'm trying to remember what player it was now.
Columbus.
Anthony. No, that was the Columbus game where Barzal just went at him and
Mason Marchment, right?
Escape. It was Anthony Duclair just jumped straight at this player, who was much bigger than him. So that's the kind of thing. I don't care. I don't care that Nylander. I'm not singling him out specifically. I'm just using him as an example because he was on the ice. But like, how did no one do anything? Like, it's just, to me, it's that's very disturbing. And look, I don't think at the end of the day that specific reason is going to be the reason why Matthews moves on from Toronto. But there have been murmurs about his future with the year they've had, and especially after winning the Olympic gold, just kind of like him being an American and him playing Canada is more. Same thing with Brady Tkachuk. There's more eyes speculating on their futures and kind of saying maybe they'd be better served playing in a U.S. market, and maybe that's what they actually want one day. So I do think that this can kind of be eye-opening for Matthews, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was moved in the offseason. Again, not just because of the fallout from this hit. It's just one of the reasons encapsulated and rolled it up into a ball. So, I thought that was a really bad look on all of the players on the ice. And not even that, but just like the guys on the bench. Like, I know Gudas was gone after that, but at least kind of like, do something afterwards to kind of send a message and support your captain, and no one did. And for me, it's just disturbing. I don't know how you build a culture where that is okay.
I'll start with the hit. Radko Gudas has got a tremendous history of this. Now, look, Anthony, you're right. It's got to be, if it's a role player, sure. You got to protect the role player just as much. Because here's the funny thing about this. It's sort of like in baseball, you get a pitcher that throws it at a guy's head, hits him, falls down. The starter suspended for 10 games, essentially 2 starts. And they're like, well, the pitcher's going to appeal. And then the union goes to the defense of the pitcher. You never hear about the union going to the defense of the guy that's laying on the ground or on the ice. So, in all honesty, the union's war chest that they developed, and I happen to see these pictures that go around about the NHL. Usually whenever there's pictures, Auston Matthews' face is on it. You need Auston Matthews upright and playing. You don't need guys that are going to take a hit on him like the way Radko Gudas did. Now, you could say whatever you will. Maybe it's an accident. Maybe it's a reflex. Sorry, that's not good enough. And Radko Gudas should have gotten the book thrown at him. Potentially Rafi Torres, because let's start with this one. The Department of Player Safety has no balls. They have absolutely zero balls, because if you had any balls, you wouldn't be so concerned with the largest thing for kneeing is 5 games. No, you set a new one. That's usually the way you do it, because you need players to know, I can't just take out a guy's knee and end his season. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. Get some cojones, George Parros. I know you're a really nice guy, but please, no. Having George Parros in charge of player safety is like having Hannibal Lecter as your doctor. It's stupid. It makes no sense. Yeah. Because then you're sitting there and you're like, well, he was an enforcer, so I guess you'll side with the enforcers. No. First off, by the way, put out a video to how you come to this decision.
I was just going to say,
Shanahan did years ago.
Like Shanahan did. It was transparency there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then to come up and say, oh, we pour over these decisions? Really? How's Auston Matthews' knee? How is it? How's he doing? No. Yeah. He's done for the year. This was a guy that was the talk of the United States 2 weeks ago. And now, nothing. Like, no. You can't be doing this to your big... Because what happens if it is McDavid?
Yeah.
And You have to protect your stars. Now, you don't want to just outright protect the stars because the lowly guys are just as important.
Yeah.
And you've said this too about a certain New York Ranger who had an accusation against him last year. But yeah, you got to treat everybody the same in this respect. But also, it does matter. I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because both are true. You need your stars. You can't have guys like Radko Gudas taking out your stars. What are you going to do? All right. So first off, with Parros, this should have been 10 to 15 games. Oh no, the Players Association is going to appeal. Let them.
Yeah.
Let them appeal.
And that's one of the things. That's one of the things Friedman said when he was talking about it. He said that you do that, then you get appeals, and it just kind of minimizes Parros in his decision making. But again, no, I get with you. I do agree. It should have been more than 5. I don't know if like you said, something like 15 would have been.
This guy has a history of doing this. He just did it in the Olympics to Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And by the way, Anthony, I'm tired of the repeat offender BS. Because here's the other thing. Let me go on for a little bit further on some other plays that happened. Evgeny Malkin got a 5-game suspension for tomahawk chopping
the neck
Rasmus Dahlin in the throat.
Yeah.
You have to do, and first, that wouldn't have been a problem if you would have suspended Evgeny Kuznetsov for not taking a baseball swing to a defenseman's head 2 years ago. But instead, or 3 years ago, whatever, you gave him 2 games. Because sometimes the NHL can't help but go, well, he wasn't injured, so it's actually not that bad. It doesn't matter if they're injured. Because what happens if somebody does take a baseball swing, like Marty McSorley kind of did to Donald Brashear years ago? Now you got a guy laying on the ice, concussed, looking up at the stars, and it's all over the press. You can't have that. Get away from the stupid looks. Because then what happens, see, I have no problem with the vigilante justice, Anthony, but then somebody is going to overreact, take it too far, like Todd Bertuzzi did. This is why you need the players' Department of Safety to actually step up. And if you're going to poo-poo about the suspension's 15 games, why are you suspending that long? Look at the guy on the ice. I can't stand this. I made the joke when we first started this channel. We used to do, I would love to do it again, honest press conferences where you had to answer everything. And I was George Parros once, and I had it where he couldn't say the word safety because he didn't know what he was doing. And he was like, I said he was the Department of Player Safety. I hated that I'm right. This guy has no idea what he's doing. Because here's the thing, George. If you were on that team, Radko Gudas, you would have tried to end him.
Yeah, he would have. Yeah,
that's what he did.
Yeah, and that's what someone on the Leafs should have done. When you go back to not defending Matthews,
and Anthony, that's I'm glad you're circled back to that, because while that's not Nylander, while that's not Morgan Riley, there's the guy on the ice that you have to look over and go, sorry, Brendan Carlo, you're going to have to take one for the team right now. But instead, he just kind of skated up with what happened here? He was like Scotland Yard. What's all this then?
It was gross. Honestly, it was gross to see. It was gross. The Kachuk brothers on their podcast talked about it, and they said that wouldn't have they would have caused hell like immediately. I don't understand how no one on Toronto defended their best player and their captain. Is unfathomable to me.
And going with what you said, what we were talking to earlier, I'm sorry, I just got a text that just made me roll my eyes. Going back to what you just said earlier with Matt Barzal doing this. Matt Barzal is the guy you try to prevent from fighting, and Matt Barzal was willing to step up. Look, sometimes guys take it on the chin. I mean, you saw Artemi Panarin get into that situation with Tom Wilson years ago. And even years before that, Marian Gaborik versus Dan Carcillo. And Carcillo said, when I realized it was Gaborik, I was licking my chops. But still, this is what happens. And this is why you end up just having the fight. And players having to step up. All right. Let's get more into some of these topics and reasons why it doesn't matter where the New York Rangers finish. And we'll get into that in our NHL Bar Talk.
Let's kick it into high pace. Grab your mates, it's time to unlock NHL Bar Talk.
Layup, get the damn hoop.
We go shot here.
The easiest I've ever had to answer.
I'm actually gonna go crazy. I'm gonna buy everybody around.
We're all in this game, let the good times shake.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's NHL Bar Talk. And as James is saying right here, if it happened to Schaefer, the benches would have cleared. Yeah. And it would have been a melee on the ice.
I don't think Scott Mayfield would have, if he was on the bench, he would have went out there and he just would have pummeled somebody. I don't see they show the whole team. I think all four guys on the ice would have went after Gudas. They're tight knit like that. They would have let Havoc go.
And it shows the love they have for this kid in the room. And you can't understate that. But welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We gauge our confidence on these NHL topics based on our choice of drink. So confident you're buying around, so have a beer, or God, I need a shot, and I actually need one right now. Play along down in the comments below as I accidentally hit the timer on this. There you go. Play along down in the comments below. And, of course, Wing Wednesday is over at Boss Croakers. Make sure that you go there and get 40-cent wings, $2 tacos, $4 Miller Lights, and Yinglings. And let's get into this. Because, Anthony, we showed, yeah, you know what? That is 100% true. Because after you heard the comments he made to Mikko Rantanen.
Yes. Yeah.
When you come, you're not finishing that game.
Yeah, he was hot. Yeah.
And it really is. There is that sense that needs to be there of you put one of ours in the hospital, we put one of yours in the morgue. That's the Chicago way from Sean Connery and the Untouchables. But look at the NHL standings, Anthony. You got St. Louis and the Rangers tied for fourth worst. Chicago 2 points behind. Maybe they need to play Utah again in order to get 2 more points. Get to them in a second. But Calgary at 59 and Vancouver at 50. Anthony, we've been talking about this for a while. It is essential for the New York Rangers to move up in the NHL lottery.
I mean, I know you have PTSD just based on the Rangers developing skills, so I know your answer is going to be different. But for me, I'm going to say round. I think them winning pointless games is hurting them. Yeah, I know it's great to see Lafreniere right now playing good and Perreault and Laba, some of these kids. You want to see that, but at the same time, you don't want to screw yourself out as the highest pick as possible. Right now, if the season ended today, just based on the standings, looking at Tankathon, they would pick fourth. If you pick fourth, chances are you're missing out on McKenna, Stenberg, and Verhoff. Don't get me wrong, they're still good players. Like this model has them picking Chase Reed from Michigan State. Good defenseman, but not at the level of those top 3 picks. So for me, I think the Rangers need absolute cornerstone of a prospect to build around. And I think obviously McKenna and Stenberg are, and then Verhoff is a very, very good right-hand defenseman that, is not quite Matthew Schaefer, but Schaefer-esque in at least some of the attributes he has. So, yeah, I think they're screwing themselves by winning. Just like, I know Phil's on here, but Giants have done this poorly over so many years. They just can't even lose right. They screw it up. No, just lose games. Lose games. Try to get one of those three guys. So I'm going to go round.
Shot.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah. Anthony, when you see a pattern, you have to recognize it. And the New York Rangers, not only should they be exempt from the lottery, they should have the anti-lottery. You don't know what to do with your first round draft picks or anybody you develop. You don't need them anymore. just revoke it. I know the Senators just got their draft pick back. The Rangers should draft middle of the first round at best. And they should keep winning. They should absolutely keep winning. And JT Miller should sit, because once he sits, they're going to win. And then the Rangers could focus on getting a mid-range first-round prospect that they will waste their potential on. Anthony, they drafted Alexei Lafreniere and Kaapo Kakko, and those were not reaches. They were every team in the NHL was going to draft those players. So what the Rangers do? There's this nice shiny toy. Well, you put it in the storage. I'll wait till I'm 30 to break it out. No, I'm tired of saying this, Anthony. Everybody should be fired. That entire front office.
Yes.
And matter of fact, go back in time and fire Jeff Gorton again.
Yes.
They have no plans. They don't integrate youth. They have not done it since Tony Amonte. Have they been able to integrate a young forward quickly and a guy that's got talent? And that was even right before they traded away Doug Weight for Esa Tikkanen. So imagine if Doug Weight was on those 90s teams or 2000s teams. But you look at the Rangers, they don't know how to develop. First, they don't know how to draft. No, let's go even further. They don't know how to scout. They don't know how to scout. Then they don't know how to draft. Then they don't know how to develop. Then they don't know how to play them at the NHL level. So it doesn't matter where they draft. Get out the rock for that one. It doesn't matter where they draft. Because they could draft literally 105. They could have Wayne Gretzky. They could have the first 8 draft picks. They could draft Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, Mario Lemieux, all these guys in their prime, Simo Solani. And they still will sit there and go, we should probably play Colin Blackwell more than him. And they need to earn their ice time. That's what they need to do. They absolutely need to earn their ice time. No. There needs to be a whole new philosophy in this organization. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen tomorrow night, or I don't know who's going to fire the GM first, them or the Devils. But at least with the Devils, they went, no, Jack Hughes. Yeah, we'll put him on the first line. That's where he's going to be. We'll use him 1-1A with like Nico Hischier. They didn't put him on the 4th line for his career. So, no, the Rangers don't deserve it. You don't deserve it.
Just continue that thought for a second. I can be right back.
All right, I'll continue. Guys, you're hearing me going off today because it's just there's too much. And yeah, I'm gonna get this guy really wants to be Steve Dangle. No, I just want to be me. This is ridiculous. The way this team. Let's go back. Let's play a fun game, everybody. Let's go back and think about New York Rangers. Let's think about New York Rangers prospects for a second, as Anthony's running out for a minute. But you got the New York Rangers prospects. Let's go with Mark Savard first. Mark Savard was openly saying, I'll never get a chance with the old man there. The old man was Wayne Gretzky. So the Rangers were forced to trade him away. And then he goes to Calgary. And then it takes time for him to figure it out. At that same time around that era, they had Manny Malhotra. You had John Muckler coaching him. And John Muckler basically said, this guy's going to be nothing more than a 4th liner. And basically cemented his career like that forever. So they couldn't develop him that way. And once a guy develops, once the plant opens up from the seed, it is what it is. And it's grown. You're not going to get a new plant out of that. Maybe that's the example I could use for Alexei Lafreniere right now. But
no, it's hard. It's hard to argue with a lot of your I said because it's true. But don't you think at some point it is going to change, and it's very important for them to get one of those high picks, get one of those 3 players? I do. Eventually, no matter how bad they could be at development, the player is going to be too good for them to mess up. And I think
let's say they get Anthony. Let's say they get Gavin McKenna next year. Next year, you have a coach like Mike Sullivan that's there. He favors vets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This because by the way, this is why David Quinn was so important, because he was supposed to be the guy to take young players and mold them. Instead, he just basically destroyed any of the youth that they had, with the exception of Adam Fox, who was already a standout by the time he got there. They don't know what they're doing, because look at what I thought with the Islanders. The Islanders have taken 3 young players and are getting great results out of them in Richie, Schaefer, and Heineman. If they're on the Rangers, Schaefer's playing, he's the 6th defenseman, maybe 7th. Maybe he sits a little bit for Urho Vakanainen, who still sounds like he's a character from the Dark Crystal. And then you got like basically Richie is Noah Laba, who's shown promise, but let's also be honest, he's got 20 points. We're not talking about a guy that's setting the world on fire.
I mean,
even though I do have a video coming out about him too.
Here's the thing. I know McKenna. I know you got from Lafreniere. This is where a lot of this comes from. But Gavin McKenna is a much more explosive prospect than Lafreniere was. Like we've always talked about this. Talk about Lafreniere. You know, you always say, "Oh, they said he needed to earn his time and whatnot." But what did he do that popped up? He's not the fastest or best skater. He's not the flashiest player in terms of stick handling. So he didn't do like the example you use Schaefer. If Schaefer was on the Rangers, that wouldn't happen because Schaefer's so good. He would have showed how talented he is, and the Rangers would have had to have played him more. Lafreniere,
if there is being blocked, does have something to do with it. It does. He never gets power play time. He never did. Now he is. There were times this year, Anthony, they weren't even giving him power play time. JT Miller is not the better player than Alexei Lafreniere. Sorry to break that news to people. Vinny Trocheck was getting that time. Then you have Zibanejad, so that leaves him to be the front of the net guy. Anthony, it's just, again, to quote, not to bring politics in it, but I use the Donald Trump quote yet again. They don't know what the F they're doing. Even though I've already cursed in this podcast. It's just, no. So this is something that's the Rangers need very much to they need to have these toys taken away. Because you put Gavin McKenna on this team. Anthony, I've been joking. They'll put him on the 5th line. Yeah. That's what they'll do. They don't know what to do with prospects. I don't think the Rangers should ever draft ever again. That's how bad I think this organization is. You know what you could do for an organization? Fire Chris Drury and bring in a guy who specializes in development. Maybe like, I don't know, Matthew Darsh. It's not just shell shock, Anthony. They literally, if you bring up McKenna next year, and first off, you're building from the wing then. But then it's going to be, he's going to take this veteran spot. Who the hell cares? You're trying to build for 10 years from now, not for the guy you got signed right now. But that's the New York Rangers. That's what they're always going to do. And you wonder why the prospects all suck. You wonder why Pavel Brendel couldn't do anything. Why Jamie Lundmark was nothing. I could go on for a while. The only time they ever were any good was when there was a spot to insert a prospect. Ryan Callahan, Derek Stepan, Brendan Dubinsky was productive for years, but then they turned him into a veteran as well. I mean, you need to get forwards that can develop, and they can't do that. let's move on to an organization that's got hope. So the Islanders, I said that out loud. The Islanders, Cal Ritchie, he's got 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists. Right now, he's second on the Islanders since they acquired Braden Shen. Anthony, Cal Ritchie will be top 3 on the Islanders and point leaders the rest of the way.
I mean, he's certainly hot right now, and I think Braden Shen's going to be great for his development. It's taking some of the defensive responsibilities, playing center away from him as he gets more acclimated with the game. So yeah, I think he is absolutely. The problem is, I mean, you still have Horvat and Barzell there, and Mitch Schaefer. So for me, I'm going to go Beer there.
You know what? I'm going to go Beer on this one too, although I'm a little bit more confident in this. I think if they're reducing his responsibilities, yeah, that's only going to help and breathe confidence into a player. Confidence. Geez, isn't it funny when young players have confidence or anybody has confidence? You end up doing things that are great. When you're, I don't know, not playing, you don't have any confidence. I am relaying back to the original point that I was making before. But this is where Cal Ritchie, especially on the power play, on that down low option, he's been really good at feeding the slot and getting either a one-time shot from Anthony Duclair was doing it for a little bit, but I think he had Bo Horvat score on that the other day. He had a nice goal last night on the power play as well. But Cal Ritchie is looking like he's going to be everything that was advertised so far. And yeah, sure, he's not seeing in the points. And right now, since this Shen trade, he is a -4. But you know what? You just need to chip away, get little by little by little in this. And you know, that's some players develop right out of the cannon. Some players, it takes time. It's amazing what happens when you play young players. Guys, you've been hearing me rant all day, but make sure you're hitting that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe.
What were your sorry, I got a phone call. What were your thoughts on
oh, it's okay. I said, you know, it's a good thing. If you take a little bit of responsibility, but you get him to produce, it produces confidence. And it's amazing what young players could do, or even anyone with confidence, Anthony. But let's go to the Metro standings. Take a look at those standings. Oh, the New York Rangers at 64 points. Man, they're all the way at the bottom of the division, Anthony. But take a look at that one team to the left of them, the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are a bigger disappointment than the Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one because I think, you know, even though the Rangers missed the playoffs last year, a lot of the media, maybe not necessarily us, but a lot of like guys in the media still pick the Rangers to make the playoffs or fight for one. And the Devils too were included that, and basically all the Metro predictions beginning of the year was, you know, it was Hurricanes, Devils, Capitals by most of the media members across the league. So because of that, while some teams had the Rangers a wild card spot, most guys had the Devils at a top 3 spot. So because of that factor, I'm going to say round here, the Devils are the bigger disappointment. I think their expectations were higher. But make no mistake about it, it still is close because, you know, the Rangers, a lot of people still did believe in them and thought they would bounce back. But I think being the fact that most people picked the Devils to be a top 3 team in the Metro seals it for me. So that's why I'm saying round.
Anthony, I don't think it's even close. I think the Devils are a bigger disappointment than the Rangers, and it's not by a long shot. Anthony, we did our season wrap up last year with Statboy Steven and Ranger Central, and even Johnny Lazarus came on for a little bit. But Anthony, this is the Rangers were not going to be good. They were not a playoff team. Every objective Ranger fan could see that, or analyst, whatever you want to call us. But we were all able to see this team really doesn't have any way of getting in. And the way they also looked at the fans looking at it, well, they're good on the road. The road was an anomaly. It still is. Home is what they really are. and they're not any good. That being said, you look at the Devils. The Devils do have the high-end skill that the Rangers lack.
Yeah.
And yet the Devils, like, I wish we had Jim here to kind of really argue about this, but the Devils, my goodness, like they've drafted high and they're coming up with nothing right now. They're right now in a revolving door of coaches, kind of like the Rangers were. And it's just, this is starting to become a toxic organization. And I just wonder what the next step is for them. Something's really ticking off the dogs. Are they really
I
that
think
against my opinion?
they heard some sort of machine powered equipment from somewhere around here. So,
but the Devils were never. I didn't put the Devils at this far down, and not only I don't see their way up. This team was actually pretty good at the beginning of the year. Jack Hughes hurts his hands.
And then it all went, it
all
went downhill. But I think similar to the Rangers last year, where like they started off really good, it was kind of a mirage. Even though the Devils were really good before that Hughes injury, I think you saw the flaws in their lineup. Like to me, it never seemed like it was sustainable. But I don't remember where did you have the Devils in our preseason picks? Did you had them in the top 3 spot in the Metro, right?
I think I had them in the top 3. I think I had them second in the Metro because I didn't think anybody was gonna falter enough. The Metro was a lot of garbage this year. So, and I knew that going in, but because I didn't see Columbus, I saw the Devils. I think I still had the Capitals in the top 3.
Yeah.
So I think I went Carolina, Devils, and Capitals, if I had to say it. But Anthony, this is a fall from grace. And speaking about general managers that need to be fired and never spoken about ever again, like Tom Fitzgerald's getting close to Lord Voldemort. That's the way where you look at Devils fans and you're just like, so Tom Fitzgerald, we don't speak his name. But it's just they need to clear house. They need to get him out of there. And then you know what? Maybe you might know what you're doing with some of your young talent because again, they're just as clueless as the Rangers. And you could see that face on Nico Hischier and just what's going on with it. I wonder how long he's going to be New Jersey Devil for. That's how bad that's getting. You know, all it takes is one good year and you can really turn it around. Speaking about a team that's kind of fallen from grace a little bit too, Tampa Bay Lightning. In the last 10 games, they're 3-7. And Anthony, you look at that division, you cannot afford to lose too many games.
Oh, it's tight
in that division and how tight that is. So, Anthony, the Lightning will make the playoffs as a wild card.
I know they're struggling right now, but I mean, this is a shot for me. No, they're going to finish in a top 3 spot. I mean, even despite the Lightning, their recent stretch, they're still 4 points above Boston and Detroit, and Detroit's really struggling right now. Boston's been up and down. I know we're going to talk about some of these playoff races later, and when specific to Columbus and some of these other teams. But for me, I think it's Detroit that's going to be the odd team out, which will be heartbreaking for their fans if that happens. Because once again, last year it looked like they were going to make the playoffs, only not to make it. And this year, I would say as early as the Olympic break, Mark, we would both say the Red Wings are a shoo-in. I very much think they're in danger. So no, yes, the Lightning they're going through a rough patch right now, but I do not see in any way Boston or Detroit jumping them. So no, it's a resounding shot for me.
Anthony, I think about the story of when Butch Goring was the Islanders coach. And I remember the quote, I think I was back in juniors at this time, but there was a quote that Mike Milbury had to fire Butch Goring, and it was heartbreaking because it was the only job he ever wanted, to be the Islanders coach. it's going to be heartbreaking. They're going to end up firing Steve Yzerman. They're not making the playoffs. And I know everybody's like, oh, they're so good. No, they're not. They're -3 in goal differential. They're
you're talking about the Red Wings here, correct?
The Red Wings, yes.
Okay, all right. Just making
No,
sure.
yeah, no.
Right,
I'm using that as the example.
All right.
Because again, going back, I can't imagine saying the words Red Wings fire Steve Yzerman. Like that would just be devastating. And yet I think it's going to happen because this team, how much longer are they going to toy like this? And again, I will say this, Anthony, they should have made the playoffs 2 years ago, but John Tortorella didn't know what the tiebreaker situation was. So, and that was even such a great comeback for them to try to make it. This team, I don't know. They've tried different coaches. They've tried Derek Lalonde. They've tried now Todd McClellan, who only gets teams in the playoffs. And then, I mean, they got potential, but it just seems like whatever they try isn't the best. So it's just like
their top two centers are hurt right now, Larkin and Cup too. So that doesn't help their matter either.
Team game. Everybody else has got to pick them up.
Yeah.
But you got guys, even when they made the right decisions, like the Brinket or bringing in Kane. But even at that, it's a lot to ask for them to try to get them in. Like John Gibson right now is I'd have to look up his stats, but I'm not just gonna throw that in there. But John Gibson right now, he's struggling. This is a team that I don't know whether or not they're gonna make it. So getting back to the Lightning, though, the Lightning, they can't get too comfortable because if Detroit does step up and figure it out, they're only I think 4 points back. Yeah, they're Detroit is only 4 points back of Tampa Bay. So you can make the case.
And they're 4 points behind Tampa Bay without their top two centers. So yeah, it's just 4 points. I don't see them passing Tampa Bay.
Right. Don't get too comfortable. Complacency is just
I get it.
Where it all happens. And look, John Cooper, I hope everything's okay with him personally. I know he was dealing with tragedy over the last month. But hopefully the Lightning can right the ship. But also the Lightning need more help from their own lineup. But they're right now not getting it done. So, and you always hear about teams that get hot at the right time, Anthony. This is an example, I think, of a team that's getting cold at the wrong time. One team that looks to make the playoffs.
Oh, you didn't answer that then. Is that a beer? Is that a round?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am going to go. I'm going to go beer, but I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go more of a high end beer because this is more like an arrogant bastard. There's a good beer that I like. It's also named after me. But I think this could legitimately happen. I think if Tampa doesn't get their shit together, they could be looking at trying to play Carolina in the first round.
But
and would that be something?
So you really do believe you think Boston or Detroit can supplant them? I mean, I don't. That's why I went resounding shot.
If there's one team, I think. See, the thing is, we're all looking at Detroit. After I was just critical of them, if Detroit gets their crap together, they can move past. And Tampa, and again, there's also Tampa doing this. Every team kind of doing this. All you need is just a little bit. This isn't other teams. We'll get to the Pacific in a little bit. All right. Utah this season, 35, 27, and 6. They're a plus 23 in goal differential, which you know how much I love that stat because usually it's indicative of team success. But they're the first West wild card. And Anthony, if the playoffs ended today, they would get Anaheim. Utah will be one and done if they make the playoffs.
See, if there was a chance they could play Colorado, I would say round. But I honestly, Anaheim's good, but I think actually it would be a good series. I don't necessarily think that it's a given Anaheim would beat them. So that said, I mean they're 5 points up on Seattle and LA, 6 points up on San Jose. So I don't see them dropping to wild card 2. And like we said a week ago, they're not catching the third team in the Central. So I do think they are locked in. They're in that weird spot where they're like locked into position already. I don't see them moving from wild card 1. So because of that, that means they will draw. Yes, they'll draw likely the winner of the Pacific, which I think, Edmonton, Anaheim, Vegas. I think they can give either of those teams. Because that division's winner is up for grabs still. They're 1 point separates first and third. So I think either of those teams they can make a series out of. So I am not going to go rounds because I do think they can beat one of those teams. So I will say beer.
All right. You know something? I'm going to go beer as well on this. You might look at Utah and just think that they're going to be a sacrificial lamb to whomever they get, whether it would be Colorado or Anaheim or maybe even Edmonton. Anthony, Utah's got Carl Vejmelka, who's played very well. I believe he's the NHL leader in goaltending wins right now. No, Vasilevsky took that over. So Vejmelka's got 32. He does have a sub 900 save percentage, but you kind of like that he's a goalie that keeps his team in it. Utah's always knocking on the door. That's the thing about them. But I think versus Anaheim, I think they would be a 7-game series.
Yeah,
I think that would be a tough 7-game series. Yeah. But you look at some of their results against, let's say, first Dallas, they beat them 6-3. That was yesterday, actually, Tuesday, Monday. I mean, whoop. All right.
Well, again, I don't think they could play Dallas just because I don't think they're going to fall to wild card 2. So
right, or even get up to the third spot. But I'm just using them as an example. I mean, they got shut out by Minnesota. They lost them actually twice just recently. They lost, but the thing is, Utah tends to play good teams well, bad teams poorly. If that makes any sense.
Think about it this way: if they were in the Pacific Division, they would only be 1 point out of first. They're 1 point behind Anaheim. So that's what I'm saying. Whether it's whoever wins that Pacific, whether it's Anaheim, Edmonton, Vegas, I think Utah could put up a fight against any of those teams. So that's why I went with beer.
Yeah, and I got to agree with you on that one. And I do have to go beer on this one. But I actually do think that they could potentially win a series.
They could. I think they could beat one of those teams. I think they would all be good series.
Like if you're telling me they get Edmonton, let's say, for instance, with them, does Tristan Jarry tilt the scales versus Carl Vejmelka?
No.
I mean, and even if you look at them on the back end, I think their back end is still something to. I mean, I gotta look how Mackenzie Weegar's been playing over there now. But that I think Utah probably could at least they could win against the Pacific. This is why I do like this format, Anthony, where it's you're playing within your division, but then you get those. What's going to change this eventually one day? I know everybody keeps talking about it. Is when you get four good teams in one division, and then they don't exactly prioritize this. This happened with the Rangers back in 2017, where the Rangers were the 4th place team. They got Montreal in the playoffs, and they beat them in 6. And then they should have beaten Ottawa. That's a different story. That was really the last gasp of the 2010 Rangers. But this is why Utah could look over and go, well, we can't get ahead playing in the Central, but what if we stayed right here and beat the teams of the Pacific? However, they can't get too comfortable either because right now they're only sitting at about they're 5 points up on the Kings and the Kraken and only 6 on San Jose, and they got 68 games played. Everybody else got 67 or 66. So, Anthony, let's go to the last one. Leon Draisaitl is out the remainder of the rest of the regular season, and Edmonton is tied with Pacific lead with Anaheim. And that's just amazing. And Stan Bowman came out and said that if it could be a blessing that he's injured, because then it's he'll be fresh for the playoffs. I never really looked at an injury and thought, thank God he'll be fresh, but whatever. Anthony, Draisaitl injury is going to cost Edmonton home ice advantage.
Yeah, I mean, if the season ended today, they would be home to Vegas in the playoffs, but they're only 1 point up on Vegas. With this Draisaitl injury, I don't know. I mean, I don't have much confidence in Vegas or anybody in that Pacific for that matter. But with the Draisaitl injury, I think there's certainly 1 point's 1 point mark. Vegas can easily pass them. So you know what? I'll be bold. I'm going to say round.
Okay.
I will wager that Vegas will overtake them for that 2 spot. Now, how much further could they fall? Can Seattle make up 6 points? And they're 6 points behind Edmonton. That's hard to do, especially for, again, Seattle's just kind of like a Met team. So with that said, because of that, I don't think they're in danger of falling to a wild card spot or even out of the playoffs. But I do think Vegas can overtake. And hell, the top 3 could flip-flop. Like, Vegas can win the division. Anaheim can finish 2, and Edmonton could be 3. So still a lot to be determined in that division. But yeah, I mean, for me, being Vegas is only 1 point behind them, and now they're second best player and Draisaitl's out. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go, like I said, I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna say around.
Well, the problem is I have to go beer on this one, because if you could predict what happened in the Pacific, then you have a future as a psychic, because that is the most unpredictable division in hockey. And I still have no idea. I'm at a loss for words what happens with that division, because you had Seattle that was playing well. Then they were in the top 3. Now they're back out of it. The Ducks, they were hot for a while. Now they're back to 6-4 in their last 10. Edmonton 6-3-1 in their last 10. The Golden Knights 3-7 in their last 10. Like, I mean, it's the way the wind blows is how that division just changes. So if the Golden Knights, you're right about you talked about Edmonton losing their second best player, but Mark Stone's been out. So that's where the Golden Knights are. It hasn't exactly been a perfect match for Mitch Marner in there, although he seems to be all right. I don't know, Anthony. I really don't know. Because that's where you left there doing this with this division. You gotta every team that can make the case. Vegas has the championship pedigree, so they know how to finish the season. Edmonton's got Connor McDavid. I heard this rumor that he was good. And Anaheim's got Joel Quenneville behind the bench, who he only has the second most wins in NHL history.
And a lot of youth.
And then you have, lastly, you got LA, who's trying to be inspired with
Kopitar.
With a Kopitar in his final year.
Yep.
And you got Macklin Celebrini, who's trying to make the playoffs and literally carrying San Jose on his back. Mm-hmm. And then you have, I keep forgetting Seattle because everyone else does. So, yeah. I mean, I got to hand it to what Wayne Lambert's been doing there. But I don't know. I don't know what the Pacific. I'm getting tired of talking about the Pacific like this, because I wish just somebody would step up and take it. It is ripe for the taking. I mean, if the Rangers were in this division, they'd be in it. And then Chris Drury would probably trade 4 first-round draft picks to get Kiefer Sherwood. It's just, I don't know. And that's where, unfortunately, I'm left there, because McDavid's going to be the key factor. But then again, so is Tristan Jarry, who's still complaining about what's happening in front of him. So I don't even know. I don't. I wish I could say I knew. I don't. All right, guys. That was the end of Big Apple Harkins Bar Talk, where I have flip flopped more than a politician in half this stuff. But I am talking out of both sides of my mouth. But I had to. Let's do some pick'ems, Anthony.
I've got a gut feeling.
You want me to do two things?
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now shoot!
All right. And welcome back, everybody, to the Big Apple Hockey's Pick'em segment. We'll give you a couple choices. You tell us what we should be thinking, or we'll give you our thoughts on what we're thinking. And Anthony, look at 2 seasons that you could argue, 2 guys that should be getting Norris Trophy attention, but maybe not. And who's more deserving of Norris Trophy attention, being a finalist potentially, but I think that's kind of wrapped up on the finalists. Lane Hudson or Rasmus Dahlin?
Rasmus Dahlin. Hudson, he phenomenal skater. He's so dynamic. He's got 9 more points than Dahlin, but Dahlin's such a more complete defenseman than Hudson is. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's better defensively, and he still puts up big numbers himself. He's their captain, so for me, it's Dahlin.
I'm going Dahlin, but this is not any slight at Hudson.
No, it's not. No.
I've said before, Anthony, that I think Evan Bouchard is the second coming of Tyson Barrie. Hey, congratulations. You led defenseman scoring, but who gives a crap? Hudson's not that. Hudson's had a very good season. I think he's a plus 24 right now. He's got about 67 points. And this guy's been just as good as he was last year, if not better. You got to give him all the credit in the world. But Rasmus Dahlin really seems like he's just taken on a whole new form. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more Norris Trophy attention, even though I do think, could they actually have a year? And Anthony, I'm just spitballing. Could there be a year where they don't nominate Cale Makar for the Norris?
No.
And
no, I think he's going to be nominated.
I know. Well, I always say nominated. I mean, you know what I mean, finalist. But then who are you throwing out? You got to throw out Quinn Hughes. You got to throw out Zach Werenski. Is it just going to be Zach Werenski because his team is on the cusp of the playoffs? What if they make it? What if they don't by a point? Does that make him any less? He might have 30 goals this season. That's how good he's been. So I am not poo-pooing anybody, but I think Rasmus Dahlin has just been incredible this year from the eye test. His points could be a little bit more, but who cares? That's you're voting for a guy as the best all-around defenseman. In this case, I'm going to go Dahlin, but again, Hudson is easily top 10 in my opinion. But there's been a lot of good defenseman performances. Anthony, who you got in the first round should they meet right now? The Islanders or the Penguins?
So, Mark, I know obviously previous years doesn't necessarily matter in the current time, but the Islanders swept them in 18-19 when no one even expected them to make the playoffs, and then no one even expected them to beat the Penguins, but then they swept them. And then wasn't the bubble year because there was when they were allowing fans back in the building, so it must have been.
It was the second year.
Must have been that second year they beat the Penguins in 6 games. So now you go to this year, you have Matthew Schaefer, you have the much better goaltending, you have the better defense. You can call it a homer pick or not. I just think the Islanders are the better team. I think they would handle the Penguins again. So I'm gonna say Islanders, and actually I agree here. Honestly, I might say Islanders in 5.
Because I could play that game too with you. Because there's players on the team that beat the Penguins 2 of the 3 years that they played. But then again, I could also point to you and say I can name 3 players on the Penguins right now that beat the Islanders in playoff series, and that goes all the way back to 2013. So this is a rough one because Pittsburgh, every time I've thrown dirt on them, they've just gotten right out of the grave. It's like that.
Yeah, but you're telling me Stuart Skinner's gonna outperform Ilya Sorokin in the playoffs?
I don't think so, but I don't think he needs to when you got Sidney Crosby on that team. And
keep. I'm not trying to sway you anyway, but look at it this way: the Pittsburgh Penguins have 15 loser points.
Yeah,
they're only where they are because of loser points.
Well, you could also make the argument the Islanders are also where they are because of 3-on-3.
Wins or wins,
not going to be there in the playoffs.
Wins or wins, though. 2 points are 2 points, right?
Yes and no. By the way, they said the World Cup of Hockey is going to be 5-on-5.
Yeah.
So that made everybody all happy. But while I agree with you on that, and if I did have to pick that series, I would probably pick Islanders in 6. I would give the Penguins a couple games. Let's also not forget the last time they played, they won because Tristan Jarry put that beautiful pass right on the tape of Josh Bailey. That I want to give Josh Bailey some credit for reading that play. But on the other hand, Tristan Jarry, this is why I love goaltenders. I love playing against goaltenders that love to handle the puck because they're so arrogant. All of them. I have never met a humble goaltender that could ever handle the puck. They all think that they can snipe one top corner, and I don't care because you're all going to make mistakes. So with this, I would say this might be a 7-game series though, Anthony. Like that's the thing about this, and I could see it. I could see it going either way. I will take the Islanders though right now because something just says the Islanders. They have the zhuzh, they have the je ne sais quoi, they have the mojo, if you will. It's just there's something about the Islanders that make me say they're going to win. And yes, Ilya Sorokin is one of those reasons, but also let's not forget Ilya Sorokin and the Islanders are going to get outshot grossly numerous times by the Pittsburgh Penguins in that series. He's going to hold them in. And until he's going to hold it for it until they lead the comeback and the Islanders score 3 goals in 2 minutes like they always do. I can never explain this about this team, Anthony. This team is absolutely just boggles my mind. I have no idea how to even describe it. I'm like, the Islanders suck. They're down 2-0. They're up 3-2. It happens like that with this team.
They almost did it again, which in the one game they've lost since Shen was there, the game against LA, they were down 3-0. They lost 3-2, but they came awfully close to tying that game. So they never give up.
Because that's the one. Look, I give the Islanders the peskiest team in the league, and that's the thing. And then you have, even when they're not playing well, you got a goalie that keeps them in the game, and then they end up fighting their way back. So we'll see about that. And lastly, Anthony, we'll do this one. Columbus will knock out one of the Penguins, Islanders, Bruins, or Red Wings. Or Columbus will not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
you could use that as another option.
Yeah, this is tough because, for Columbus, you're happy that your team is winning, but you also got to be a little disenchanted because as much as you're winning, they still waking up every day out of a playoff spot. Everybody else is winning. So that's a little bit disheartening for them, though. They can only worry about what they control and keep winning games. That said, we kind of talked about it earlier. I gave my answer, I guess, a little bit when we were talking about the Lightning and Red Wings. I don't think the Penguins or the Islanders will fall out. For me, it comes down to the Bruins or the Red Wings, and I'm choosing the Bruins staying in because I like Jeremy Swayman better than I do John Gibson and Detroit. So for me, I know you said an option is Columbus just simply doesn't make it. I could use that one, but they're just playing so well right now. I think it's Detroit that they knock out. So that's that. I gotta go with that, and I also too just because I think it's I don't know if it's you're giving them too much credit or didn't realize it, but you also have to include Montreal in that too, because Montreal has 84 points. They're only 2 points up on Boston and Detroit, so they're kind of in that mix too. So, but yes, I'm going to say the Red Wings will be the team Columbus picks out.
And this, well, you're right about that. You could include Montreal, and hell, you can include Tampa Bay with the way that they've been sliding. This is tough for me, Anthony. The Red Wings have to make the playoffs. I keep going back to it. They have to make the playoffs. You can't have the Red Wings not make the playoffs. It is. This is the answer I am going to give is not going to make any sense whatsoever, because I think I can't. Like I said, I can't bury the Penguins, and the Islanders are just too feisty, and the Red Wings are going to make the playoffs. They have to. I keep saying those words, Anthony, because Steve Yzerman might run down there and suit up. That's how desperate he might be. So my answer is the Bruins. I think they're not going to the Bruins, and they're the ones that have the plus goal differential. They're the ones that are good at home. They're the ones that I think they have an easier schedule the rest of the way, because I just looked at the Red Wings schedule. That's not looking that great right now. Let's see for the Bruins, and you got the superstar that's going to get him in. Right now, you got the Bruins. They're going to get a game against the Red Wings on Saturday night and on ABC. So how about that? But then you get Toronto, and they will get a shot at Columbus on the 29th. I kind of both these teams, they don't exactly have the easiest schedule the rest of the way.
You know what team, and I know I just said I think the Penguins are safe, but they have I'm pretty sure they have a back-to-back with Buffalo at the end of this month. And that's a team that they've struggled with lately, and how good Buffalo is. I mean, if Buffalo were to beat the Penguins on both those games in the back-to-back, that could hurt them, depending on what some of these other teams do if they stay hot.
It's just this is a tough one. That's why I got to go out of the box and say the Bruins. Something tells me the Bruins are due for a fall. I don't know why, and I like the Bruins. Great question, Anthony.
Well, honestly, if Boston College, if they lose and they bail out, I think he's going to turn pro. I do. I think he will. He will indeed make the NHL.
And by the way, Dave is saying he's humble with the puck when he handles it. Anthony, it's a tough one, because I do think Columbus is making it. I think Columbus is knocking out somebody, and it's just something in my gut tells me it's the Bruins. And Bruins fans, I'm not trying to slam at them, but as Ray is saying right here, Bruins got a weird situation where they win one, then they lose one. That's been the pattern for them. Yeah, it's been most of the pattern for them all season, but the Red Wings still got a negative goal differential. They got to figure out what's going on with that. All right, guys, that was the end of our pickup segment. We're going to do a little puck doku, and we're not going to do obscurities today. I'm sorry. I'm just running out of time.
I do have three for you that I would like to just give you. And
all
you
right.
don't have to give me mine, but
all right. I'll see what I can do. We'll all right. Let's do the puck doku first, Anthony, and let's see what we got with this. Yeah, I've been behind the 8 ball all week, and I got so much to get done just today. So here we go. It is this is the regular puck doku pyramid. We have Sorry, guys. And there it is. I got to put the media in there. We have Tampa Bay, the Islanders, and the Anaheim Ducks in the top row. The Winnipeg Jets / Atlanta Thrashers, St. Louis Blues, and this is born outside North America.
All right.
So
I'll go first.
Anthony, let's go first. Let's see where you want to start.
All right. Well, first I'm gonna hit you with my Constant Crossman in the Blues Lightning.
Ooh, all right.
Nope,
I
wrong
still
dog.
went to the wrong one. I got it. Constant Crossman.
All right. Isles Blues. Let's see. Go Bortuzzo. I can go. You know what? I'll go Jeff Finley.
Jeff Finley. Oh, Finley. All right. 0.5.
Blues and Ducks. Eric Brewer played for Anaheim. I'm pretty. You know what? Yeah, go Eric
Yeah,
Brewer.
I believe Eric Brewer did play for Anaheim. And he did. You got a 1.
Ducks and Thrashers / Jets. Go. I mean, this might be high, but go Lucas Spiza.
Lucas Spiza is a 3.
All right, Islanders, Thrashers / Jets. Give me Freddie Meyer.
Is he? Yeah, never mind. 0.7.
All right. Lightning and born outside North America. Stick on my Islander defenseman theme here. Go. Never played for him, but he was drafted by him. So I'll go Christian Kudrock.
Is he with a K?
Hey, it's Christian with a K and then K-U-D.
There he is, Christian Kudrock. There we go.
All right. Islanders born outside North America. We'll do Dennis Grabeshkov.
All right, I guess it's 1N.
1N, yep.
Grabeshkov.
G-R-E.
Grabeshkov. There we go. All right. 0.1.
Ducks born outside North America. Tom Curvers was American. Matthew Schneider, American. Lubomir Vesnovsky.
1%.
Yeah, you might beat me. 5% is high. That's what I'm at.
I don't know, Anthony. My brain isn't exactly working as well as it could be right now.
All right, so Lightning / Thrashers, Jets. Yeah, Islander defenseman thing ends here. I don't think there's anyone that fits this. Lightning. Eesh. Why am I struggling with this one? Thrasher, Jet / Lightning.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with this one too, Anthony.
Yeah. Wait. Pascal Brion? Maybe? No. Wow, I lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so I still have to beat a 105. You know what? I should have waited till that was your final answer, Anthony. That's a mistake. That's a mistake on my part. We could always debate that in case if I win on that. All right. For New York Islanders, I am going to use your Constant Crossman. because going to use him right there. Going to use Terry Yake for St. Louis. There's a couple of Lightning guys I think of. I just again, my brain is pretty shot. For the Islanders, let's go with Andy Sutton. Could always go right there. For this one, Mikhail Stalenkov is one guy that comes to mind. 1%er. New York Islanders. I don't think Dave Shazowski. I think Dave Shazowski was born outside North America. So Dean Chanel. So was let's go with Brenislav Meze.
Good one.
Yeah, that's 0.4. Is Vinny Prospel too much for that? Okay, I'll go Vinny Prospel because this might cost me. It's a 1%er. All right. So we still have Tampa Bay and St. Louis. Tampa Bay, St. Louis. Tampa Bay, St. Louis. I gotta get these Tampa Bay guys because right here I want to throw in Braden Coburn. But the thing is, Braden Coburn never played a game for Atlanta, I believe.
He didn't?
I don't think he did. He did. So I might need these. I need to come up with some.
No, he did. He played. Yeah, he played. I mean, not a lot, but he played 31 games for Atlanta.
Oh, I thought he didn't. Okay, so let's go with Braden Coburn.
You know what? I could have
2%.
used all Islander defensemen. I forgot about Coburn. That was a good one, Mark.
See, I love it when you're doing these theme things. I wish you could say that they're theme things in the meantime. All right, so in order to win this, I just need to come up with 2 guesses that fit both of these guys. For this one, we'll go Grant Fuhr. And I screwed it.
What? Grant Fuhr never played
Grant Fuhr never played for Tampa. You idiots. Oh, who was the Rick Tabaracci? Maybe it was it. We'll go with that. I think that was, but I think Rick Tabaracci, I don't think he played for St. Louis. Jablonski. Pat Jablonski. That was the guy. Idiot. So I lost. I completely see Anthony. All it takes one mistake, and there you go. All right, let's go to the pyramid. Let's see what we got. We got 1,000 games played in their career. A defenseman. Then they have to play for the Ducks. 50 plus games played in their playoff career. Then they have to play for St. Louis, and they have to play for 2 teams in their career. Exactly. So they have to play for the Ducks and the Blues. So Anthony, 1,000 career games played.
Ray Whitney.
All right. Now we need a defenseman with 1,000 games played.
Pronger played for more than just the Blues and Ducks, so it's
So
not.
you can only use Pronger all the way up to St. Louis.
Yeah.
But we also know Eric Brewer would be there too.
All right, so 1,000 games and a defenseman. Matthew Schneider, but you know what, Mark? Schneider fits the Anaheim category, and I think he even fits. What's the next category after
50 plus games played in their playoff career? Schneider fits that.
I think he fits that one too. So let's just.
Let's save Matthew Schneider. That's right. So we just need a defenseman with 1,000 games played in their career. How about why not just throw out James Patrick? Let's go with him.
Yeah, I mean, yes, if he had more than 1,000 games, yeah, use him.
He definitely had 1,000 games. Yeah. All right. Now we need a guy that played for the Ducks. Did Francois Beauchemin play for 1,000 games?
Well, that's a good one.
Let's double check that one. Is he the guy that played for
He might have.
903. He did miss it.
Damn. I mean, again, you could use Schneider here, but let's maybe see if
No. I think you're right. Schneider should be number 2.
Did Chemo Timonen just played for Chicago at the end of his career. He didn't play for Anaheim too, right?
No, he played for Nashville. Nashville, Philadelphia, and Chicago.
What about Tony Ludman? Did he? No, 847. No, 847.
847. Okay.
JJ Daniel, did he have 1,000?
I think he's got 899.
Damn it.
There's a guy we're missing.
Keith
Carney.
Tom Curvers definitely didn't have 1,000 games, but he would.
Keith Carney got to 1,000 games.
All right, yeah, use Keith Carney.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing right there. There it is. Keith Carney. There we go.
All right. So
we're at a uniqueness of 2. So now we have 50 career playoff games played. Now we're using Matthew Schneider. So now they need all these. Are we going to go Pronger right here, or do you want to go with Eric Brewer?
Did Eric Brewer play 50 playoff games? I don't know if he did.
I think he might have. I think he did. I think he definitely did. But
no, 34.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he played for some organizations that just didn't really get that far.
What about Brett Hennigan?
I think he's definitely got that because he's got 2 playoff runs and 1,000 games in his career. Hennigan has 108 playoff games.
Yeah. Go Hennigan. I think that would be a better answer than Pronger.
I agree with you 100%. Brett Hennigan. And there we go. Moves us up to a 13. So now they need to play for 2 teams exactly.
All right, and it's not
the Blues and the Ducks.
Yeah, because it's not Pronger. He played for the Oilers and some other. So just the Blues and Ducks.
Wow, this is a good one. It's obviously not Jay Bouwmeester.
No. It's not Scott Niedermayer, obviously. Played for the Devils. It's for a guy still playing. Cam Fowler.
Yes. And there we go. 13 is what our unique score is. Cam Fowler was the only answer at the end. Pronger, of course, the best one. Hennigan. And see, that's what sucks. Where Cam Fowler was an answer, but then you wouldn't have gotten the top.
Lost. Yeah.
Brett Hennigan was the best answer you could give right there, but again, you would have lost out on him. Carney would have been a good answer right there. Dmitry Kulikov would have been another one. Matthew Schneider gave us a 2. And then, of course, the 1,000 games, Hennigan, Luke Shen would have been another opportunity. So,
all right, not a bad deal.
All right, Mark. Not bad at all. Not bad at all for us.
I have my 3 obscurities that I had given for you ahead of time, so I know you don't have one for me, but we'll just see how you could do solo here.
All right. And by the way, I still can't believe I fumbled Pat Jablonski.
Yeah. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, Mark. Your first player played in 876 career games for 8 teams. His name is Sean Hill.
Sean Hill played for the Ducks, the Blues, the Canadiens, the New York Islanders, the Carolina Hurricanes. I think he also played for the Hartford Whalers.
No.
But okay.
You got 5 out of 8.
Did I get the Buffalo Sabres in there?
Nope, didn't play for Buffalo.
Didn't play for Buffalo. How many more?
3. 5 seconds.
I'm missing. I had to read the St. Louis and fuck.
Time.
All right, I'm out.
So you missed the Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
Ottawa Senators and the Florida Panthers.
All right. I should have gotten the Ottawa Senators because that's when he was in his prime, I believe.
Yeah, kind of played from 94 to 98 with them.
Yeah. But I did get, I know I got the Ducks because he was one of those guys I love to use for Ducks and Blues and such.
You got the Canadians, Ducks, Hurricanes, and Blues.
Yeah. All right.
Next up. All right, I can put them up here so I can just list these team names as you say them. All right, Mark. Next up, this guy played in 1,224 career games. Very long career. His name, let me get my timer. His name is Sean O'Donnell.
Sean O'Donnell played for the New Jersey Devils, the Los Angeles Kings, the Minnesota Wild, Chicago Blackhawks, Boston Bruins. I got one more.
No, three.
Three more.
Time.
Anaheim.
Time.
All right.
You missed the Ducks and the Coyotes.
Well, I got Anaheim at the end.
Oh, sorry. You missed wait, then you didn't say the Coyotes, and then I think
didn't say the Coyotes.
What?
I didn't say the Coyotes. No.
Yeah, so did you get 7 then? Did you say Philly?
I did not say Philly, no.
Well, all right. So so you missed Philly and Phoenix.
Yeah.
So you got 6 out of 8. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Long career that guy had. Didn't do anything like outstanding, just a solid kind of stay-at-home guy.
He was a player that just won. Everywhere he went. And I think he's got 3 Stanley Cups? Because I think he was with the Devils for 1.
Go back now.
Or was he? I'm checking him right now.
No, just one.
Oh, he only has 1 cup.
Yeah,
how about that?
Yeah,
he's got the cup with Anaheim, but
he made it when he was with the Devils. He played in 23 games, so I think that was the year they lost to Colorado, right?
That is correct. They lost to Colorado that year.
Yeah, so he got close.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was with LA for his second run. I was wrong. He was in LA during the Zygmunt Palffy era.
Yeah, but then he went back to the Kings in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, like the 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
All right, what's the last one?
Your last player, Mark. Let me just get my timer here ready. He played in 661 games over 5 teams. His name is Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson played for. See, I'm going to mix them up. St. Louis Blues.
Yes.
The Los Angeles Kings.
No.
Okay. Mike Johnson. So St. Louis Blues. Calgary Flames.
No.
Detroit Red Wings.
No.
The Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yes.
Yeah, good, because I'm blanking on this guy.
Time.
Florida Panthers. Time.
Yeah. So you got the Blues and the Tampa Bay Lightning. You missed the Canadians and the Coyotes.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get. I think the
Toronto and Toronto.
Yeah, I think with that guy, I was confused to get with Mike Johnson, Craig Johnson.
Yeah, I know. When a common name like that, yeah, I figured that might happen. But he's the one that is on NHL Network. NHL Radio.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I knew the guy because I wasn't sure if that was him. I know he's a Leaf because I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, he started his career as a Leaf. Yeah.
And if there's anybody named Johnson, they played for St. Louis Blues sooner or later. That's just the way.
Yeah.
To look at that one.
I started this question earlier because it said if Toronto moved on from Matthews, what would it take for Drury to get him? A lot. Not quite McDavid level, but a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now, I don't think his value was diminished in Toronto. That's the thing about this. I think coming off an ACL, he would have to force his way out of town, so that would decrease their leverage. But if you're Brad Living, who should be fired as well, you the asking price should be high no matter what.
I mean, it starts for a guy like Auston Matthews. You're giving up a first round, so likely the Rangers, it's top 5 pick you're trading away. Probably the first, Gabe Perreault and Lafreniere.
You would want you'd say, all right, it would have to be a top 5 pick.
Yep.
Because he's only signed for, I believe, 1 more year, right?
2 more.
We'll check cap wages on that. All right. So it would be a top 5 pick, a current NHLer that's producing, and a top level prospect. That's what the asking price would be. And probably a secondary conditional draft pick. That's what I would say. So, yeah, well, using your parameters, I'd probably have to say Alexei Lafreniere, Gabe Perreault, or what the hell would be a high-ranking Rangers prospect after Gabe Perreault?
After Gabe Perreault?
Gabe Perreault.
There's not much. Liam Greentree, but you just...
Yeah, Malcolm Spence. Really?
Yeah.
Is that it? It's Drew Fortescue. Here's one of the reasons why Fortescue would appeal to me if he really is something to
James says
write home
Igor.
about. I don't think it would take Igor. Because you could say that for the salary, be like you have to swap in, swap out salary. But I don't think the Rangers give up Igor in that trade.
Well, I think if Igor was on the table, it changes it. Maybe if it's Igor, maybe Lafreniere comes out and it's just the first round pick.
Yeah,
Igor, and then a lesser prospect like a Green would a first Igor and Greentree be enough? I mean, you're essentially getting Igor and one of, I don't know, Verhoff, Denberg, McKenna. So,
Anthony,
yeah, I mean,
short answer is no. It's not enough for Auston Matthews. Auston Matthews still has plenty left in the tank. If he moves on from Toronto into a different system, that one that actually suits him. But the thing is, I think he's got no trade protection. Does he really want to come and play for Mike Sullivan?
What did you say about Igor? What did you say about Matthews? He doesn't have trade protection. I think
he should have trade protection. But by the way, that's also where I say all the time, Anthony.
He's got a full
no trade clause. Now, by the way, Anthony, I always say with this, there's 2 no trade protections on there, because one of them is he has to say yes or no, and the other one is the $13 million price tag. Not many teams can fit that under salary cap. I know the headlines is everybody's going to say, sure, yeah, why wouldn't you waive and get out of there, especially after everything that was said about him.
And by the way, he's got 2 years left on his deal after this year.
Okay.
Not 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, as much as he's cost conscious and anything, I mean, basically, if you let him play it out, who knows? He might actually reduce his salary a little bit by the time you can go get him in as a UFA. And I think it's more likely next year. The asking price is going to be way too high this year. I know everybody's thinking about the article that was written by the Toronto newspaper and the way that nobody stepped up to defend him. But in all honesty, if you're trying to trade from him, better have a cupboard that's fully stocked, because it's going to take a lot to go get him.
Honestly, I think he's gonna X out. I think
he can ask out, but yeah. I mean, again, I will repeat the same thing I just said before. If you mean to tell me Brad Living is gonna, in 2 years, completely dismantle what the Toronto Maple Leafs built, whether or not you want to say they built it on on a weak foundation or anything, or the wrong foundation, fine. But Anthony, that he's going to come in and get rid of Mitch Marner and Auston Matthews in back-to-back years. Sorry, you were not making that decision. We're having a fresh mind come in and do that.
Sorry, but I was just reading. Dave Pagnotta just did a. I guess he was on the daily face-off. He said, with Cole Eiserman set to join the Isles organization, still expected to join Bridgeport once the deal is finalized. I'm told Danny Nelson will be returning to Notre Dame next season.
Ooh,
it's not good. Not good for the Islanders. Danny Nelson can now, and granted, mind you, there's still a lot of time between now and August 15th of 2027. But if he does indeed go back to Notre Dame, plays out the season, he could be a free agent come August 15th of 2027. So, yeah, that's not, obviously it's not good for the Islanders. It's a situation where, I don't want to speculate too much, because again, it doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to sign with the Islanders. But yeah, no, that's a little disappointing. I think Nelson is a highly rated prospect. I think he has like a 50-point third line center written all over him, with the possibility, if he reaches his absolute ceiling, he could be a second line center. But yeah, no, I don't know. I do know, and I don't want to speculate, but his older brother Henry Nelson is on the team, and then his younger brother Sammy Nelson is committed to Notre Dame, but not for this year. It would be for the year after. So he would be gone by then. So I don't think it's a matter of he wants to play with both his brothers at the same time, because it's not going to line up.
It's not really feasible.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, honestly, it could be, again, like I said, it could be a lot of reasons. I don't want to speculate. It could just be a matter of he wants to try to win a national championship, or school, like, kind of getting his degrees important to him, or maybe he doesn't want to play. Listen, Bridgeport's moving to Hamilton, Ontario next year. Maybe he doesn't want to play in Hamilton, Ontario. Maybe he wants to go right.
Price sounds better than Bridgeport.
That's true. Bridgeport's not really a great area. Maybe he doesn't even want to play for Bridgeport. Maybe he wants to go straight to the NHL and burn a year, and the Islanders don't want to do that. Maybe he looks at the Islanders depth chart at center and sees Horvat, Barzell, Cal Ritchie, sees Pajot just extended for another 3 years. Sees Cizikas and sees maybe where am I going to play in that organization. So yeah, there's a lot of moving. Oh, Braden Shen's here for another 2 years. Again, another center. So yeah, maybe he feels, where am I going to play in that organization? Maybe he doesn't want to move to wing. So I know I just spit out a lot of stuff that we don't know. Could be anything, but yeah, those are all possibilities.
And then when we talk about the mindset of Alexei Lafreniere, this is exactly why I talk about him being blocked, and why the Rangers handled him very poorly. Even if there was one point where they were talking about him being a center when they drafted him. And getting back to this, though, this is where I do think the Pajot extension had something to do with it. They extended Pajot, so they have him, even though Pajot could play the wing. So I don't think it's as important. But you look at Braden Shen, you look at Cal Ritchie, you outlined it so well. And you still have Casey Cizikas on the team. He is definitely sitting there going, where am I going? Where am I going to be? And the one thing you do know about this is, asset management wise, Matthew Darsh won't just let him walk.
That's what I'm hoping. he obviously didn't trade him at the trade deadline. Because if it is a matter of that, he doesn't see a future there and he would just rather sign somewhere else. He has one more opportunity to trade him, and that's this summer. Because if this summer comes and goes and the college season starts, now teams aren't going to give up a lot because they could say to themselves, well, I could just sign him for nothing, as a free agent in August. So Darsh missed the opportunity at the deadline. He now has an opportunity to still get good value for him in the summer. So
that is true, but also that's where you have, I think you have it where organizations could actually talk to the players. You could grant a permission, and where you could get the trade in place. Let's say, for instance, like the Calgary Flames stepped up and said, "We want Danny Nelson." They can have a trade in place, and then they could talk to him and be like, "Are you willing to sign with us?" And maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I mean, there's Americans that are over there. You got Matt Coronado and Dustin Wolf for starters. They come right off the top of my head. There's obviously opportunity there. Because look, it's not just about his entry-level deal and maybe potential success somewhere. It's because if he plays well in his entry-level deal, he gets a bigger contract on the second time around. So you can't just say, "Oh, just get him signed," and he shouldn't have to worry about all that. No, because this is why players get picky about stuff like this. This is why the NCAA thing I don't think should change. But but obviously we've seen more teams like get their guys signed. And even to him, looking at the wing, you still got Cole Eiserman that's coming too.
Victor
So I mean,
Eklund.
there's that. It's like, oh
Victor Eklund too.
Yeah. Well, how did I forget about William Eklund for a second?
Victor.
Sorry, Victor Williams' his brother, whom that was a nice little funny spat with Bo Horvat. But that's what players do. Look at this, because as much as it's your fandom and their legacy, it's also their livelihood. And when it's your livelihood, you have to start thinking about things like, where am I going to play? What's it going to be like living there? What's my opportunities? Is you don't want to you don't want to minimize what you can make.
I had read around the trade deadline before, because there was obviously a lot of talk with the Blues and the Islanders for Kyrou/Thomas. The Blues apparently like Danny Nelson a lot, so I wonder in the summertime if they revisit trade talks for Kyrou, if now Danny Nelson would be a guy Darsh will move, if it comes to that. So
I'm just wondering exactly what Darsh's timetable is, because one thing about the Shen trade that I like, Anthony, is this way to help them now and over the next couple of years, because he is a good player, headstrong player.
Yeah.
But it's also, I don't like that he gave up a first in this, but I understand it was a Colorado first, a first and a third. That's a hefty asking price that Armstrong was able to get. Doug Armstrong, right? Yeah, Doug Armstrong was able to get from him. And geez, people.
Well, you know what? And we have 200 of you watching, so we appreciate that. And here's the other thing, Mark. Obviously, we precurse. This is all speculative. Mind you, it's also possible he just has no issue. Like for instance, he'll still play for the Islanders. He just wants to go back to school for his senior year. That's
a possibility
too. So again, we don't know obviously what the conversations are with him and Darsh. So if it's a matter of he just said, I want to listen. His brother Mark Henry Nelson is not like a prospect, so he's likely never going to get a chance to play with him again. So maybe he just says, I want to play with my brother one more year, and I'll sign with you guys after. So that could still be a possibility too, and we're just kind of speculating. Maybe he doesn't see a future here for no reason. So honestly, we truly don't know. With that said, I don't like the fact that he's not signed.
And by the way, if that's the case, I would love for Matthew Darsh to have something in writing. Maybe like a little bit of a loose style thing where you got the contract right there. It's just in a desk drawer and you wait until you have to take it out.
What would be another possible leverage too is he could possibly, like, if he still wants Danny Nelson in this organization, and maybe let's just operate on the pretense he is undecided. He could lure him by. I referenced his younger brother Sammy's committed to Notre Dame for 27-28, but he's draft eligible this June. He could also, as a show of kind of just good faith or whatever, he could just draft his younger brother in the 4th round or whatever, and be like, we drafted your brother. If that would help. That's something that maybe could transpire too.
But by the way, Anthony, thank you for reminding me, because out of all the Islanders that I forgot to use in the Born Outside North America was Jorgen Janssen.
Yeah.
And of course the Islanders had Jorgen Janssen, the brother of Kenny Janssen, for a brief, I think one season, right?
Yeah.
But I as much as I like that idea, if for a rookie, I think that does help, because at least having somebody that you're familiar with. But speaking about another way the Rangers fumbled that with Capo Caco, he was the only Finnish player on the team when he signed. Brilliant. The organization, they're just the smartest guys in the world. Yeah, you have something in place where a player can come in and get acclimated a lot better. Let's take a couple more comments. Sorry to kind of run off on you guys today, but I have had a very long week, and it's only going to get longer. Potvin Move was drafting his brother. Didn't John Potvin start somewhere else?
I think he did, but I think he's saying that the Islanders, Jean Potvin.
Yeah, he started with the Kings.
He was started with the Kings. The Islanders got him in 72, 73. So I think,
which is around the time when they got Dennis.
Potvin, yeah.
So, I mean, see, I worry about stuff like that, because I always think about, of all people to mention, J.R. Smith, where the Knicks had his brother, and it's like, okay, great, you got your brother on the team. Good for you. One of the guys just sent me Ben Stiller at the end of Dodgeball, watching and saying Kevin Adams watching Buffalo. I won that trophy.
James saying, if the Rangers draft 5th or worse, do you trade down?
I don't think it matters. Honestly, this team can draft Sidney Crosby in his prime right now. It don't matter. They don't know what they're doing in scouting and development. There is no plan in place to move along these players. There is nobody that they don't know what they're doing.
I think if they were to come with the 5th pick, number 5, you could still get Caleb Malholtzer or Kynan Lawrence, who's at BU. Which Kynan Lawrence at one point was considered maybe in the top 3. Now he kind of fell to around 9th. So yeah, I mean, it's possible. If you have the 5th pick, maybe, because he's mocked at 9th right now. Malholtzer's 8th. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible. There's also a young player from playing out of Young Gardens, Vigo Bjork. He's kind of
the bad guy in Ghostbusters too.
I don't know about that, but he's kind of picking up some steam. He's mocked 11th, so you could maybe get a guy like him. So that's a good question, James. For the Rangers, I guess it depends on where players slide in their draft boards. Every team's scouting department has guys in different areas, but for me, honestly, though, if you can't get one of the big 3, if you can't get Stenberg, McKenna, or Verhoff, I would certainly think about trading down.
And don't forget, they got Carolina's pick at the end of the 1st round as well.
Yeah,
but
if you remember, Mark, if you remember, Mark, the Islanders traded down the year Josh Bailey was drafted. So was that the 2009? Or no, not 2009. Tavares.
I do think it was 2008.
Yes, just 2008. They had
Yeah.
the fifth. They had the fifth pick that year. They traded down twice to 9. I think the first time was from 5 to 7, if my memory serves me well, and then from 7 to 9. So, in that process, they picked up extra draft capital. So yeah, I mean, you could do that if you were the Rangers. You could do something like that.
Yeah, and by the way, Dirk, yeah, 100%. Or actually, maybe not the cancer. Yeah, by the way, we'll get to that in a second. Because if you guys watched, I put out a video about the letter 8 years later. And I talked about the failures of this organization. It took 5 years to get Brennan Ottman his first NHL goal. That's all you need to know. Just anytime, think back in your history about anytime the Rangers inserted a young player and just kind of let him run. Like, seriously, when's the last time? Anybody? Tony Monty, that's about it. Mike York. I have to go back 30 years. And even at that, Mike York had to fight his way onto that roster. Like, there were still some people that are like, this guy ain't going to be nothing. He was runner-up for the Calder Trophy. Lundqvist is not the case, Dave. If you remember, Lundqvist was kind of platooning with Kevin Weeks. Lundqvist grabbed that ice time from him. And I understand what you're saying with that. It's just that's not exactly the way the Rangers did it. So if the Rangers got Gavin McKenna, they wouldn't play him on power play 1. The Rangers wouldn't play him on line 1. The Rangers would sit back and go, you know what? We gotta get him to earn his ice time. I have seen nothing out of this organization over the last, and to be honest with you, it's the last 30 years now. It is 30 years. I can't think of a young player that this place acquired, this team has acquired, and just they ran with him. They can't even get guys from other organizations and play. Well, like right now, all credit to Ty Karche, who's got, I think it's 6 points as a New York Ranger so far. It's since they got him. I forgot the way it's spelled. But anyway, whatever. Karche, I give him all the credit because he's at least came in and he's been playing well on that third line. Maybe he finally found a role. Maybe he finally found a home. But the truth is, the New York Rangers, they can't ever get development right. And it's been multiple different teams. It's just very simple. And all they have to do is it's Karche with a K. That's the reason why. 7 points in 9 games for Karche. But that's why the Rangers can't get development right. They can't. They never will. So the odds of the Rangers trying to pull that they need to get the number 1 overall pick. No, you don't get credit for it. Someone else messed up. You were able to swoop in and get them. That's all that matters. You don't. Here's the list of things Chris Drury does not get any credit for anymore. Not a damn thing. Not a damn. He doesn't get credit for Shesterkin. He doesn't get credit for Fox. He gets credit for building a team that was good enough to win. But when it came down to it, push came to shove. If they developed Lafreniere and Kakko correctly, or identified who they wanted to win, let's say they went against Central Scouting for a second. Let's say if they went with Kirby Doc and Tim, the biggest mistake. Let me reset, guys. I want to be exactly clear on this. If the New York Rangers, in that 2020 draft room with all their masks on, except for Jeff Gorton, takes his mask off and he says, the New York Rangers draft Tim Stützle. Tim Stützle would be Alexei Lafreniere. That's the way it works. Lucas Raymond would be Alexei Lafreniere. And yes, it does come down to all these guys. But again, Kakko, those guys were both Gorton picks. The thing that doesn't matter is who picked them at the end. It's those guys were going to be picked in those slots. There wasn't a team passing on them. However, once you get them, now it's in the hands of development. Now you have to have a plan, and that stems from the GM down. Gorton didn't have a plan. Drury didn't have a plan. None of their coaches had plans because Gerard Gallant, and coaches, by the way, are paid to win games. Coaches aren't there to just develop. And at times, Laviolette talked about trying to develop these younger guys. Because also, you got to understand the importance of development. It's not year to year with every single guy. And one thing I wrote an article on, I think years ago, was called the Laviolette effect. There was guys that had career years on the Laviolette, whether it be Eric Cole, Eric Stahl, Claude Giroux, Sean Bates was another example, or Adrian Aucoin. But the thing is, when it comes down to it right now, you going back to this with Drury, he kind of fumbled into Cartier. Now, again, if this is the role that he's in and this is what he's going to succeed in, more power to him and more power to the New York Rangers. But show me a prospect day one. They got him. They followed a plan, and now he's doing well. I'll wait. And not the defenseman either. Because as Glenn Sather also said, the best acquisition that they've got as far as like players went via trade, young prospects, was Ryan McDonough, and he was a throw-in in that deal. So, all right, guys. One reason why we started early today was because I needed some time, and we're going to cut it off here. Obviously, if you're watching the show right now, come back every single week. We'll always be talking about New York hockey, and we'll always be talking about teams around the NHL. Everybody, thank you. And again, this is always a great time every week. Hopefully next week goes according to schedule. There's tons that we have to get right right now with all of our schedules. Filk has got some things that he's dealing with down in Florida. There are things I'm dealing with up here. Again, just going to take off the banner for a second and just pay respects to my friend Katie, who passed away this week. Life is precious, guys. Take every single day and don't take it for granted. And always go and live life to the fullest and tell your loved ones you love them, because one day you might have the last words you ever say to them and you don't even realize it. And that happened again. I had two of my friends pass away this weekend, and families that are devastated, and people, friends need to be consoled, and it's rough. It's rough, but also obviously don't forget the Hyper Show. Don't forget to also recommend the YouTube video around. I'll have to put it on All Things Rangers and have it on there. Right now, we're not on Facebook. We got to get that back up and running. Probably at the end of the month is when that runs, because there was an Islanders quote that was on there. It was a long story with that one. Just Facebook is stupid. Anyway, but guys, we're going to cut it off right here. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us this week. And thank you. And yes, thank you on this. And the man is St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it was Wantagh We had about 70,000 people that were in town for that. So I was able to miss the game. Dave, I hope we won. But I'm gonna miss next week's game as well. And yeah, we got some good action to look forward to the rest of the season. And there's gonna be a hell of a lot more hockey talk to be going. This should be an interesting playoff. I have a feeling this might be a fantastic end of the season. So everybody, thank you very much, and we will see you next week.